Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Jennifer Bober. I work in marketing communications here at Renew International, and we'd like to welcome you to our webinar, Small Groups Big Impact. And this is all about our new process called Small Groups 101, which helps you transform parishes through the power of small groups. Today with us, we have Paul Krenzeluk. He works in sales and also our pastoral services team. And just a little bit of housekeeping as we get started. We are recording this webinar, and so in a day or two, you will receive an email from us with the link to the recording so that you can have that to watch again at your leisure. Also, if you have questions, please do not hesitate as we go along to put your questions in the question box. I will feed them to Paul as we go along. And as always, at Renew, we like to start something with a prayer. So Paul, would you lead us in prayer?
Absolutely. So everybody, if maybe we can just take a moment, just if you like, to close your eyes for a moment, to take a couple of deep breaths, just opening ourselves to God's presence here with us today. And if you want to follow along on the screen, you can from this reading from Acts. Awe came upon everyone because many wonders and signs were being done by the apostles. All who believed were together and had all things in common. They would sell their possessions and goods and distribute the proceeds to all as any had need. Day by day, as they spent much time together in the temple, they broke bread at home and ate their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having the goodwill of all the people. And day by day, the Lord added to their number those who were being saved. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Paul. So, many people who are here today were with Sister Terry and Ted Musco and I last week, and we talked a bit about why small groups matter. So Paul, you want to give us a little bit of a recap on why small groups are so important as we navigate this post-pandemic world?
Sure, absolutely. So the prayer that we prayed today was very intentional. And that prayer offered a vision of early Christianity where they gathered in small Christian communities in homes. So small groups actually go back to the very beginning of the church. One of the lines in there from that passage from Acts is, all who believed were together. So Christianity is not a singular thing. It's not something that's just me and God. It's meant to be communal. And bottom line is this: we grow and we are transformed through community, through relationships. And it's through those relationships, through that community, that we pray with each other, support each other, break bread with each other, and challenge each other to discipleships. So small groups in themselves and gathering in these small Christian communities are integral to what it means to be church.
So we've got so much going on with people not being able to gather. What are we going to do with small groups then? How do we do that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, of course, the challenge of this time is social distancing. And what we've been practicing here at Renew, ever since mid-March, is we've moved very quickly into practicing virtual small groups, which have been incredibly powerful. So
I know, I've been part of one, and it has been absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, exactly. And so we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. Of course, we look forward to the day, hopefully sooner rather than later, in which we will gather more often than we are now, at least in person in groups. But I also believe very much so that virtual gatherings are just as authentic in so many ways and are here to stay. So any discussion of small groups, I think, really needs to kind of see that as a part of the way that they need to continue the virtual
Yeah,
aspect.
absolutely. So why would a parish want to use Small Groups 101? Why would they want to use this to establish their small groups?
Mhm. A few reasons. Um, One, in which I alluded to in the beginning, and this just speaks to small groups in general, is that they're transformative. There's not kind of a program out there that talks about reinvigorating church that doesn't include small groups as integral. Small Groups 101 is, and what's unique about that is that it will help you build the building blocks for what it takes to have thriving small communities in your parish, so that then you, once you have these building blocks and foundations established, you can customize the content. So that's the power of this, that it's going to give you everything you need to understand the vision of small groups in your parish, how to assemble and do small groups. And then once you have that in place, you can take it a lot of different directions with all kinds of different content and topics. So it's kind of a do-it-your-own in terms of building this infrastructure and the philosophy and the vision. Once you have that, then you can customize in terms of content.
And, we say that this is something new from Renew, but in essence, it really isn't, because this is what we've been doing all along. And this is really something that's been built into all of our other programs. And now we're just kind of pulling it out specific, so that you can customize your content. So it's new, but
Absolutely.
it's not new.
It's absolutely. I mean, Renew has been at this for over 40 years. So we're bringing the best of our experience to you in the way that we build small groups and help and work with parishes individually. We're giving you that expertise through this. And let me also just add that during this time of COVID-19, um, connections are vital. And we need community, we need support. And as we talked about at the beginning, that support that we can even do virtually is very powerful. But this is a really good time to, if you aren't already doing small groups in your parish or want to improve the ministry, to do something like this, because small groups are really a key to connecting, praying together, supporting each other, and helping each other live our faith as disciples.
And I know for myself that I watch my parish's mass every Sunday, and they're using YouTube. And so there's a chat feature. And
Mhm.
every Sunday, everybody's saying good morning to each other on the chat.
Mhm.
We get to this kind of peace during mass, and we're offering peace to each other. And at the end, we're all, have a great week, stay safe, everybody. And that connection to my parish is so important to me, and to obviously so many other people, because they're there every Sunday,
Mhm.
and we watch the numbers on the stream, and everybody's there. And even as we've got people who can go back to the parish, the numbers are still there.
Mhm.
So yeah,
That's great.
that connection, even virtually, just a few minutes to chat, and oh, I know who that person is. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's great.
Small Groups 101, how's it set up? How will people work with this?
All right, Small Groups 101. So it's a 100% online program. There is an opportunity for individual consultation, which I'll talk about later, but primarily this is an online resource for you. It's a subscription model. And when you sign up, you will have then access to all kinds of resources on your computer through our website, Small Groups website. And it consists of 3 different modules. The first module is called Capture the Vision. I'll just go through the modules first. The first module is called Capture the Vision. The second module is called Organize and Build. And then the third module is called Train Leaders. So let me speak to the first one a little bit first. Capture the vision. So this module does just what it says. First and foremost, it lays out a vision for the power of small groups in your parish. So it's really about the why of small groups. Some of what Sister Terry and Ted and Jen talked about last week. So in that vision, knowing really why small groups are important, that's key because we all need to know why we're doing this and how it can transform. Capture the vision will also focus then on the how. You know, what are the core bedrock principles that you need to be practicing as a parish, as a leadership team to make it effective? So there's a couple of staples in this module. First, there'll be a video led by Sister Terry Ricard, who is the president of Renew, and she will talk and do this video about, again, the why, but also principles, you know, what it takes to be successful as a parish to create a thriving small group ministry. Another principle that's really important in this first module is called creating ministerial communities. So what I mean by this is I want to actually evoke an image by Pope Francis. Pope Francis talks about the fact that ministers and the leaders need to smell like the sheep. So what this is saying is that this is not just a program, this is a way of being as parish, and that the leaders need to practice being in small groups, that they need to embody the fact of, you know, praying together, sharing faith with each other, urging each other on to discipleship, so that that then kind of spreads to the rest of community through modeling and example. So we're trying to teach the importance of what it means to be not just program administrators, but a ministerial community that practice what it preaches.
And that
Oh, go ahead.
kind of loops to a question that has popped up.
Okay.
That someone had asked about whether there's a model for a leadership body or it's decentralized and emphasized group by group leadership. And yes, we're forming a leadership body within the parish.
Yes, so it's both in a sense, and that we are forming this core group of leaders made up of parish staff, key parish members, volunteers, parish council. You know, we really want a core people to embody this vision and excitement so that they spread it and communicate it, not only by word, but by action. That's the ministerial community. And two, we are bringing this vision to all the facilitators, you know, so it does filter down. And then obviously, hopefully we're communicating that well to all of the participants, if not directly, also by osmosis. And then the other aspect of this module is to go into depth by explaining what is it that we mean by faith sharing. So, you know, there is a rhyme and a reason to faith sharing, so we go into it and say, what is really the purpose of what we're after when we say that we're going to share our faith? And there are guidelines and structures for what a faith sharing session may look like, sample sessions. So those three aspects really capture module 1. So I'll take a breather there for a second. Any other questions or comments, or should I move on to the second one?
No, go ahead. We're good that.
Okay, so module 2. So the first one, capture the vision, really sets the tone, the vision, the why, and the how to. The second module is to organize and build. So this really gets into the specifics of how you do it. And this will tell you how to, like the different components or team members you have to have. You need a person who's your overall organizer, and assisting that person, a team surrounding that person, as many as makes sense for your parish. It could be 2 or 3, it could be 5 or 6. But kind of this core team that's your team of people that excite people, communicate the vision, but also the implementers. And then it will talk about recruiting the facilitators as well. So for all these different roles, there's going to be clear role descriptions, assigned tasks. It's laid out very clearly in terms of what they need to do. But again, I just want to stress that this is not just you hand them this sheet that says, okay, do this. The other part of this whole thing is an emphasis on training people to be leaders and ministers. So that comes back to that aspect of ministerial community, that we're not just implementing a program, we are living and embodying these principles ourselves as leaders. The second module also includes very practical publicity templates, such as bulletin announcements, pulpit announcements. There's also talks about how you do sign up. And again, given where we're at, sign up not only in person, but virtually. And finally, it offers like samples for face sharing sessions. So once you build all these foundations, gives you some ideas for different resources that you can actually use with varying content.
And it also gives you kind of what to look for in a leader and what kind of, personality traits are going to help someone be an effective leader and help you identify that among your parishioners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I would say, I mean, a lot of people have trepidation in terms of being a leader if they haven't done it before. And really what it takes is a hospitable spirit, a welcoming spirit.
Yeah.
That's the most important things. And in this next module, which I'll get to, it offers then training modules. So should I move on to that one?
Sure,
Okay.
that'd be great.
So the module number 3 is train leaders. And this has several videos in it, skills videos, that talk about exactly how you go about if you're a facilitator leading a group. I've been leading groups for a lot of years. I'm still learning. So no one has to be perfect in doing this. It's a good video. You won't learn everything that you need to learn over what you might learn over years of experience in doing this, but it will give you confidence to know the basics of what it takes to be successful. And of course, you'll keep learning and growing in that as you go along the way. The main thing, as I said, is really creating that hospitable space where people feel welcomed and safe and comfortable leading. So it sets those parameters really of helping us establish that atmosphere and basic skills. And it's also going to help you understand there's a technology component, one of the videos of if you are doing this virtually, and I suspect many of you will be, of how to lead and navigate technology online. So this video talks about using Zoom, Google Hangouts, FaceTime, or even for some communities not comfortable with a computer, using free conference call that doesn't involve any online component at all. So it's the practical training aspect. So that's the 3 modules in a nutshell.
Okay, we have an interesting question. Does the program share ideas of how to create hospitality over video chat? I think
hospitality over videos chat. That's a good question. Off the top of my head, I'm not exactly sure right now, but I think we'll make sure that that's a part of it, because I think that is really, really important. So I'm just going to go ahead and say yes.
because we'll make sure it is.
Yeah, because we'll make sure it is. Because that's a good point in the sense that, it's more than just navigating the technology. It's about how do you create that community over the technology. But I think here's the thing, and this is what I know already is in it, is that what works for online works also for in-person, or I should say that the other way around, that works for in-person works online. So the same very practices that you would be using to create hospitality in person would be the same things that you would do online. Now, there may be a little bit of know-how in terms of making sure everybody's included, but you still call on people in the same way, ask the same type of questions, create the same type of containers for comfortability. So those aspects are definitely in there, and they do transfer.
And honestly, it's very much a function of how you greet them and, you know, welcome them into the space, as it were, whether the space is physical or virtual.
Yeah.
You know, being welcoming and, you know, offering that to people, it really does help a lot.
Right. Right. Yeah. And those principles, they hold.
So we talked a bit about, you know, the different modules, and you kind of touched on this a little bit, but is each module for everybody? You know?
Right. There are some differences in terms of who the modules are intended for. So that first module, Capture the Vision, is for the leadership team and broader parish council. It's really the key people who are going to be the igniters in your parish that are communicating a vision. So leaders of any kind, I think, who help set the direction of a parish are those who are going to want to see this kind of more capture the vision. Parish council members, staff, pastor, other key leaders. The second vision, or the second module, organize and build, that's really for kind of this core team, those who are really kind of the implementers and following through on logistics. So that could be pastor, that core team, core coordinator for sure. And then the third one about the training will be aimed at facilitators. So others can see it too, but that's where it's aimed at the facilitators actually who are leading these small groups.
Okay, so people are getting a little bit of an idea of what is entailed, and let's see if I can pull this up here again. Wait, there we go. And so we talked about the 3 different modules.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what's their investment going to be for this?
All right. So the investment, there we go, is, as I mentioned at the beginning, it's a subscription model, and that gives you access to all the web resources for a year, and that's $399. So that access and to each of the modules, you know, I talked about some of these things, but all of the modules include inspirational videos and instructional videos, handouts of a lot of different kinds that just tell you, for instance, like what's the role description for all these different positions, or a handout even describing ministerial community, which I talked about early on. They'll include some of the modules, sample sessions, publicity samples. The other thing that comes with it is that you are, and I'll show you the slide in a second, you receive a book that goes, covers very well all of these essentials, both from a why of small groups and how to, called the one on the left, Essential Small Group Leaders. So you'll receive that as a part of it as well. And then the book on the right is one we recommend. Those 2 come in a series that if you want to put forth just a little extra, it's an excellent resource on leading prayer. And, if you want to go back to the previous slide.
Sure.
So I talked about what you get for the 1-year subscription. You can continue a renewal for $99 per year. And then if you feel you need some in-person consultation, we can set up a session for $199. The other thing is when you would become a part of this program, you get 25% off while you're a member of everything in the Renew bookstore. So this is very important because, as I'll share in a little bit, if you're looking then for specific content or a specific topic after you built the foundation, all of our resources that are topical, you'd be able to purchase for 25% off.
So, including,
yes.
yes.
So, well, the one on the left comes with it, the $3.99, but leading small groups, that would be 25% off. And if you want to show the next screen.
Okay.
So as I said at the beginning, what this does, Small Groups 101, is it tells you the vision and the how-to for implementing thriving small group ministry in your parish. Once you have all of those foundations in place and all the people, well, then you will need, if you want to do, when you do small groups, you'll need some content. So we have excellent content, and I'm just offering a sample or showing you a sample of things we have. On the left, it's called Prayer Time. That's lectionary based. So for every Sunday of the year, it includes the gospel reading and a reflection upon that reading. And that's for all the cycles, A, B, and C. For this middle one, the specific one I showed is called What Me Holy, and that's by Chris Lowney. It's a very popular small group resource of ours. And this is one of many topical books. This one in particular is based on Pope Francis' document that he wrote a few years ago called Rejoice and Be Glad. And in it, he just talks about what it means to live holiness in our everyday lives. So this book uses that as inspiration. But we have,
I can tell you, having been in a group
Yeah.
that has been working with that for the past several weeks, it's really a wonderful, wonderful resource.
Yeah, yeah. And I just saw a chat that says creation at the crossroads is excellent. So, so what I invite you to do, well, before I do this, let me go on to another type of book, and that's our seasonal offerings. So we have offerings for Advent, for Lent, that follow the readings again for each Sunday, and in some cases every day of the week for those seasons. And that's another way in which you can establish really successful small groups in your parish. But
We have a great
go
question
ahead.
that someone is asking, at $400 a year, is the parish subscribing to include all of its members?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Can you repeat that again?
That with the $400 subscription, is that for the entire parish?
Well, it can be, and that's once you get a subscription, then there's a way. Well, let me say, probably practically speaking, not for the entire parish to have access to the entire website. What you would do is you would give us a list of names of people that you would want who would be the key persons. Really, this is for the leaders primarily. So leaders and facilitators. So once you give us those names, we can input those into the systems, and those persons would have access. So it could be quite a few, like a dozen or more, but we need those names from you to input them into our system.
And the nice thing is, though, is that for like a training session, like we can do here in this, we can share the video over Zoom. You can use that with your facilitators, and that way you're actually, talking to your facilitators and having it as a conversation when you're using the training.
Sure, that would work. Yeah, again, I mean, this is for setting up the foundations for small groups in your parish. So not every parishioner is going to need to know, how we set up an infrastructure and a vision for small groups.
Right.
So it would be for those key leaders. And I just want to say, back to the topical books, is we have, at least a couple of dozen, if not more, great topical books on Mary, on Creation at the Crossroads, which is stewarding our creation, social justice themes, creating a balance between work and faith, many, many things that you can use as topical themes. So go to our website, shown down below there, and go to our bookstore, which there's a link right near the top, and you can access all these different possibilities.
Exactly. Well, and the person who asked the question says that sounds like a very reasonable price when you're, have multiple people using the subscription.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. We
Absolutely.
definitely wanted to make sure that it was.
Yeah.
It says, what about the 25% discount? Would the leaders have to order the books for the participant?
Yes. For that 25% discount, it does need to come through the parish, or at least those leaders who are online, who are integrated into the system. So it may be, how many other people that is, but it's basically through the parish that you get the discount. So that's correct.
So, okay. And so now, if someone wants something a little more structured.
Yeah, I mean, I want to offer one other option. Now, if you want something, Small Groups 101 really empowers you to build this program, and not just program, but way of being church through small groups on your own. We also have many processes in which we will accompany you step by step in creating that culture and giving you a specific curriculum, basically, that can last several years in some cases. So Arise, for instance, is one of those. It's a very powerful evangelization and discipleship program that lasts 3 years, basically. And we accompany you step by step and provide you with the curriculum as well. So I just happened actually to be doing one of these webinars on Arise coming up in a couple of weeks. So if you're interested in that, go back, check our website out, because there's a full page that talks about Arise and what it is, or tune in on August 6th.
And if you want to sign up for August 6th, as you could for this, we have an events and webinars page, and you'll click there. That's going to go up in the next day. So you'll be able to go right there and sign up for that information session as well. So now if people are interested in the program, who are they going to talk to? And we'd like to invite Deacon Pete Fiore to turn his camera on and join us. He is the person who will take your calls, will work with you, find out what your parish needs, and help you get set up. So hi, Pete.
How you doing, Jennifer? So thank you, Jennifer. And also thank you, Paul and Jennifer, for doing such a fine job in presenting Small Groups 101. More importantly, I'd like to thank each of you on the webinar today for joining Renew to learn about this. And I hope two things. I hope that much of what Paul and Jennifer outlined for you sounds like it's good for you, that it would be useful for you. But I'm also hoping that when you get off the webinar and you think about it, you'll have lots of questions. And when you have lots of questions, I'm going to invite you to contact me. I'm your answer man. And feel free to contact me as many times as you might need. I'll be more than happy. I can tell you that I've run small groups in a parish for a very long time. And with this COVID crisis, I started out with one Tuesday evening small group using prayer time that we have. And it's now up to 3 nights a week. And the reason for that is people are still hesitant about going into a building in church. But as Paul said earlier, they want something for engagement. They want to be together. And I think Jennifer also touched on that. And I think one of the things that was mentioned here is, can meeting in a virtual group be authentic? I can tell you doing 3 of them a week, it's very authentic. And sometimes I think more authentic because since people are doing it over a computer or a telephone line, many of them have opened up more than when they're physically in person. So you might be blessed with a lot more authenticity than you can imagine. So thank you again. Take my number down. Feel free to reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to help you. And thank you again.
And if you go to renewsmallgroups.org, there is a form there that you can fill out, and that will go to Pete and Paul. And so they'll reach out to you, and you can get more information from them. So, feel free to either use his email there or fill out the form. That'd be great. And that way we'll reach out to you. So I do want to open it up and ask, people have been great and asking questions as we have gone along, but do we have other questions? Are there other things that people would like to know about this process? And, please ask away. We are here to help, and we want to empower you to establish a thriving small groups ministry in your parish and really help you build community with your parishioners. So please don't hesitate to ask. We're happy to be here, and we are happy to answer your questions. So nothing's popping up yet.
We covered them all. I see it says 12 below here, but I think probably all of
Well,
them.
some were comments too, as like, thank you for answering my question. So
All right. Very good.
So I think, we've tried to answer people's questions as they went along, and, we're so happy to have people here with us and interested in this new process.
Yeah, and again, as Deacon Pete said, if you can't think of a question right now, but if something pops up, please email Pete and he'll be happy to respond.
So it looks like that's it. We don't have any more questions coming through. You will get an email, as I said, with a recording of this. So you'll also be able to see on the video the screen that, oh wait, something just popped up here. Pointers on how to attract younger parishioners to join groups. Well, one of the things is having them online. Quite honestly, that is a great way, but the surest way that we have found to help engage people in a small group is to invite them. And if you can get one young person who wants to be a leader, then they can invite people, and it really does help.
Yeah, and I just saw a chat that says, to have young adult specific groups. And I think that is effective too. And that's something that we did during this crisis. So, young adults, while it's great to have mixed age groups, and that's important and we need that, young adults like hanging out with each other as well.
And, we also have found that sometimes it can work with scheduling. Now, not as much right now because we don't have CCD going on or things like that, but there have been parishes that have run groups for the parents while the kids were at CCD. So, mom and dad would drop the kids off, and, the parents would come in. So, and, a youth group can absolutely, become an organization that has small group faith sharing.
Yeah, and the other thing I was just going to say, and I see a chat coming up, do you recommend using Facebook, Instagram, social media in general for inviting young adults? That's the key, actually. Even these days, we know that FaceTime, is something that boomers love a lot, millennials less so. And then you have, the generations below that, like Generation Y. I I can't remember them all right now, but those younger generations in their 20s and 30s, Instagram, TikTok, if you can figure that out. Those ways, it's important to find out where young adults are at and to reach out through those means.
And so someone also asked, what about the older community who are not able to use computers? How do we introduce this to them? And one of the great suggestions that came out of our last session was to have partners, have young people who are partners. And this is another wonderful way to engage your young people who are so familiar with the technology, who are so, adept with it, that they basically act as tech support, or they partner with someone who is not as comfortable with the technology, and it engages both generations, and it creates a wonderful relationship between them as well while they're at it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great idea, Jen, and I'm happy you brought that up, because on my Tuesday night group, I have a 100-year-old woman in the group. And the very first week we did this, and she did Zoom, totally unfamiliar with Zoom. She came in upside down and couldn't figure out how to get right side up. So somebody made the suggestion that she gets her nephew, her great nephew, who now joins her every Tuesday, to make sure that her video is okay. But he liked it enough to stay on the Zoom meeting. He's actually a young person with a lot of older people, and he's considering doing something for younger. So you're right, that could be a great opportunity.
And let me add one other thing while we're speaking about Zoom, is that Zoom always has a call-in option. So you would have to get the phone number to a person like on the Zoom link. So there'd have to be a little bit of creativity there. But once they would have that phone number, they could use that to call in on the meeting and would not need a computer. Another means is free conference call.
Yep.
So there are means to work around it because through these virtual applications, most typically there's a phone number call-in option as well.
Yeah, almost every, one of these kind of, Zoom, Google Hangouts, GoToMeeting, whatever you might be using, they do have a phone-in option. So
yeah,
that's always there.
Yeah, exactly. Some great comments. Thank you so much, everybody, for your participation.
Absolutely. Any more questions? Seems we've gone a little quiet here. I'll give everyone just a second, just in case someone is typing. But we're happy to help. We're happy to be here. We hope that you check it out. As I said, renewsmallgroups.org is the website. And at the moment, it's just a little bit of information in a form, but that is actually going to be where everything's going to be hosted and up very shortly. So we look forward to bringing that to you.
Exactly. So Deacon Pete, can you just speak to a little bit about the availability of this, when this is available?
So we are shooting for August 15th. So just a little bit shy of a month from now. But I would be more than happy to take any of your orders right now and put you on a nice long list. Seriously, you should be able to have this in about three and a half weeks. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, and everything, as the person who's putting up the website, I can say that everything's on track for that to happen. So
yeah,
cross your fingers.
It'll be there.
Exactly. So, well, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Pete, for being with us. Thank you to all of you who have come and who have listened and talked with us and engaged with us. We always love to have an active group that talks to us. That's always great. So we look forward to seeing you in the future, and we're going to say goodbye for this afternoon. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.